Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the On Time, On Target Morning Brief. Today is Wednesday, August 26th, and we are going to invest with military precision. Today, as we do every day, if you are catching us on replay, thanks for checking us out. You can find out more information at the website, ototnow.com, or in the show notes off of YouTube, if that's how you found us. Basically, a group of us get together every morning. We talk about stocks, we talk long-term stuff, we talk short-term stuff, we do a little bit of day trading, and then we move into answering questions, all of which is I'm available for you to answer those questions out there. So if you want to check us out, reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com, and we can get you set up with a free trial. All right, for everybody else, a couple new names in the room, so make sure you are set up with a call sign. That all looks good for everybody. And on your chat window, make sure you have all attendees and panelists selected at the bottom. As you can see, when I hit send here, it says all panelists and attendees. So that's how you should be set up. For our mission objectives today, we're going to grow our money, protect our money, and live off our money. Today, specifically, we're talking about growing our money because we're going to talk about Salesforce.com, which is ticker CRM, which absolutely crushed earnings last night and are up 13% this morning. They have a very influential CEO in Marc Benioff, so we'll talk a little bit about him as well. And then we'll talk about some other software as a service companies that are out there. Secondly, we're going to talk about what is a Coverdell ESA, which is an education savings account. So again, I'll cover that at the end after I've taken care of all of your questions. And if you aren't not concerned with the Coverdell ESA, you can check out once you hear me say, let's move on into the question of the day. For our tactical objectives out there today, we just covered those. As far as our flow, we're going to cover long, short, open, short, long, which means we're going to talk long-term investing stuff first. We're going to go around the world and talk about the markets last night. We're going to go and check out the headlines of today. Then we're going to go to short-term day trading stuff right around the open. And then we are going to go back to, once we close the day trades out, which happens generally in the first 10 minutes, then we'll go back to our long topics of the day, answer your questions. I'll review the chat. Feel free to put stuff in there and for us to talk about, and then I will end with question of the day. If you have any tech issues out there, steve@ototnow.com. My staff is standing by to be able to help you out with any tech issues. And standard disclaimer applies that this is an financial education presentation. You have to do your own due diligence before you act on anything you hear in here today. Just as a quick review, since we do have some new names, in the day trading stuff, I'm going to talk about R units, risk units, how much you're willing to risk. That could be nothing. I mean, or if you're on a paper account, 50, 100, 350 is what I use personally. Your goal is to risk 1 R to make 3. That's the discipline we use. So we only have to be right a little more than 25% of the time to make money. And there are some examples. If your R is $100 and you're going to buy 1,000 shares, with a 10-cent stop, that'll work out. So remember, if you move that stop, that adjusts the number of shares. If you go to ototnow.com, there's a risk spreadsheet you can use to help with all this. Once you take the trade, you get the stops in first. Don't watch your trade. Go through your ticker or your tickets, make sure you have the stops actually in, and then you can watch your trade. And we'll talk more about that once we get to the short-term portion of the morning brief. All right, let's go up to TD Ameritrade and take a look at where we have been in the past year, which is this screen. This is the SPY, again, the S&P 500 from left to right. The big move up, and again, bouncing off of new highs yesterday as well. When we look at the past 5 days, which is this chart, pretty much, straight up move here. This was Monday afternoon when we kind of got things looking good. We gapped up and then found our way higher yesterday, pretty much throughout the day. So a lot of positivity in the market, a lot of coronavirus headlines kind of fading. We don't necessarily have a vaccine, but a lot of positive developments out there. And of course, the conventions bring out the optimism in everybody. So again, the Republican National Convention is prodding right along, if you will, if you're watching that, if that's your thing. I tend to just catch the headlines, but nothing too out of the ordinary for what we've seen there, and then pretty flat across the board as far as the future. So pretty stable going in today. And then as far as the earnings have just been out of control. Let's get on the correct day. So some earnings, CRM is obviously the big one we're going to talk about today, which was last night, actually. Dick's Sporting Good was DKS. We'll pull that one up there. That was this morning as well. So let's talk about Salesforce. crushed earnings up 13%. Intuit, again, the makers of TurboTax, Mint, QuickBooks, crushed earnings up 6%. HP Enterprises up 6% crushed earnings, and Dick's Sporting Goods crushed earnings up 12%. So, and we're also going to look at NIO, the Chinese EV maker, who is now starting to talk about batteries as a service, is up again 6% of pre-market. They've been on fire lately and actually bought a little more not too long ago. I think it was Monday afternoon. All right, so that's what we have going on in the earnings world. So we will reset this for our trades. You can get a look. Those are our 3 shorts that we're going to take a look at here in a minute. If you want to do some research ahead of time, that's a Nordstrom on the left, Best Buy in the middle, and then Teva Pharmaceutical on the right. But we'll come back to that in a minute. I'm going to share out to you cnbc.com, and we'll take a look at the futures this morning. You can see the Dow's down a little bit. I'll hit refresh here, but pretty much even, if you will, across the board from the big 3. So pretty good overall. Again, we're still kind of due for that big red day. I sound like a broken record saying that, but we really are. So don't be surprised when there's going to be a rip your face off, 2% plus down day coming up. It's just going to happen, and it's not going to be a big deal. May not happen until Monday when we have both Apple and Tesla splitting. So we may stay optimistic for the rest of this week. Going around the world, let's see. All of Europe is in the green there. Again, the Fed speech that everybody's talking about is tomorrow. The chief of the Federal Reserve, Powell, at Jackson Hole. It's all virtual this year, but the annual Jackson Hole speech, again, he's going to talk about inflation and things that the U.S. is going to try to do to increase inflation, which is going to get everybody excited because they're trying to maintain their goal of 2%, and everybody out there doesn't want inflation, right? Because they're worried inflation is going to take off. So that'll be interesting to see how that pulls out tomorrow. That could be our big red day, is when Powell starts talking. I like what he says, but we will see tomorrow if I like what he says. All right, Asia across the board, China down 1%. You know about the Ant Financial spinning off of Alibaba there. All right, these are our numbers from yesterday. Dow did finish in the red. Largely that was Apple. Yeah, Apple was down on a day. That hasn't happened since, 1972, it seems. But yeah, it's been on fire, so it needs to take a breather. That's not uncommon. But again, NASDAQ, the other tech name, still kind of chugging higher. And again, you see the VIX down at 22, pretty low. I'm long VIX going into the election. All right, as far as bonds, they are creeping up. Again, this has been a pretty decent move up from, we were talking 0.55% on the 10-year Treasury, 3 weeks ago, up over 0.7. It sure would be nice if the world would be even close to normal, if that would get up above 1. Can't consider normal until we see that. All right, I like oil above 40, so it's holding consistently. And about the storms, Laura, obviously bigger than the other one, was the other one, Marco, if I remember right. Laura coming in, Cat 4 hurricane into the Gulf, so that'll shut down some production, so price goes up off of that. As far as our precious metals, kind of mixed across the board. And, I look at Bitcoin every morning now because I am actually interested in pursuing it. I'm not in it for myself or anybody, but again, taking a look at it, and Bitcoin was off this morning. Again, looking at it as a long-term digital store of value, if that is your thing. All right, let's take a look at the headlines here. Awesome hair up there, front and center. That's the CEO of Palantir, obviously going public. And, only in this world can you lose $580 million in a year and be, have everybody excited about buying the shares of your company. To put that in perspective, Tesla in I think it's 2018, maybe it's 2019, but I think it's 2018, lost like 790 million in the first year. Not the first year, but in that calendar year. So kind of crazy how fast, when you're in growth phase for companies, and I've seen that now that I run too, how you can manage. Sometimes if you're expanding and growing, you're actually operating a loss for a long time. Amazon did that for 19 years. And I used to be scared of getting into a stock until they were profitable. I am no longer scared. I can read that out of the tea leaves now inside of the financials. All right. Did not know about this, the flood risk score. That might be something to talk about. I'm not in a flood risk plain here in the middle of dry as a bone, Texas, it seems, but that's interesting. I did not know that. Let me take a note. I need to look that up because I know someone will ask today. All right. This is our economic number of the day. Durable good orders surge 11.2%. I was in a conversation yesterday about people are spending like fools, literally, since you can't really go out to eat too much. I mean, you can, but you have to kind of manage that and not go when everybody else does. But literally being kind of locked away at home and canceling vacations is pretty much people have been crushing it on Amazon and buying stuff, right? So since we're social creatures, we are doing some retail therapy, if you will, to keep ourselves sane during this time. Whatever it takes, do what you need to do. All right, Facebook may be hitting the trillion mark. I bet they do. Again, advertising, there's no better name out there. You can get excited about how privacy and censorship and all those things that will continue to stay in the news. But again, you put 50 bucks into an ad and pick up a couple customers as a small business person, i.e. like me, well, that's worth 50 bucks, right? So they're still the best way to get an ad going pretty much instantly, and they actually design their ad for you. If I'm trying to think if anybody in here has their own business, but yeah, they'll basically go to your Facebook page and they'll merge stuff in and present you an ad and say, click here if you want to use this ad. This ad's pre-approved. I'm like, that's pretty cool. I'm sure that's all AI doing that. I doubt there's a human involved. All right, let's see. Street high target of Tesla for $2,500. Have fun with that. You know my opinion. Buy the car, not the stock. Here you go. NIO's picking upgrades. Could jump another 15%. That might happen today. Literally, that's how much it's on fire. Again, I wish I had more. I was able to stab at it on Monday and buy some, and it's just gone straight up. So again, batteries as a service, you're going to start hearing more of that. You know, stateside we have Blink and Plug. Blink ran into some accusations, so they've been kind of selling off. Plug is going higher, but overseas you have NIO that's not only selling the cars, but they're selling the batteries as a service and trying to get that to go worldwide. If they do, then watch out. The stock, which is at like 17 or something ridiculous like that, will be over 100. I mean, that's just the way that works. All right, let's see what else we have this morning. Didn't see anything about Roku. Apple is getting almost $600 price targets going into the split. Didn't see the Nikola headline. We'll check that out. And Shopify, all those are great companies. You really can't lose being in those. Gary Cohn is another person getting in on the SPAC. Again, SPAC is special purpose acquisition companies. That's how DraftKings, Nikola, and Virgin Atlantic all came through a closet IPO there. And again, colleges are kind of the litmus test right now. Texas A&M reported a huge outbreak yesterday. So, I mean, kind of, we'll see. If colleges start sending students back home, that's obviously going to be a huge negative. If they fight their way through it, like A&M is doing half on, half off classes, so you don't have to go half the time. So, I mean, everybody's trying to fight the battle to see if we can keep folks in school. All right, that's it for the headlines for today. Let's go over and take a look at Salesforce on FinViz. So again, finviz.com is my one-two. If you're going to research a stock, go here. It's got everything. You can see the huge uptrend and the AI lines that are in here. And then, of course, these are the moving averages that are kind of ghosted in the background. They are the 50, 220 days. So again, 20 days is 1 month. It's 20 trading days. 200 days is 1 year. 200 trading days in a year, sort of thing. And then 50 and a quarter-ish. So you can track those. As far as all of your ratios, you're talking they were not profitable last quarter. That's why there's no PE. But obviously they make a ton of money, so they're choosing not to be profitable by growing. But anyhow, the forward PE basically is a 60. So again, that's what happens when you turn profitable, then you get a PE. But what I really wanted to show you here is I have never seen this. Yesterday, or wait, is that today? That's this morning. Look at all these upgrades. Everything was reiterated from all these folks, and look at all these price targets. I mean, either reiterated, a 250 or above, and it's sitting at 216 right now. I mean, everything's in the middle to upper twos for Salesforce.com. So we talk about, and look at all these articles. So this is this morning, and then this is yesterday. It's like, what's that, 30? So you have, Marc Benioff is the guy in charge of this. That's his picture right here. billionaire, got into software. If you look down here, selling stuff at age 15, back before selling stuff at age 15 was cool. Bunch of, been software a whole long, and he's very charismatic. He's considered a potential to run for president someday. So some talk of that, Democratic side. He was a big Hillary Clinton supporter. And lives in San Francisco, so you would kind of expect that. 55 years old though, so he's kind of the heart of the envelope, and he does own Time magazine, so he's got his own free PR there. But anyhow, so very again charismatic jockey and a very strong horse, so pretty good overall as far as an investment. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Schwab Street Smart Edge, where you can see in the upper left is what we have is Salesforce. And you'll hear the term software as a service. So again, software companies, when you think of what I like about investments, I like that, best of breed with a, service or product with a moat and high margin. You talk high margin, there's really nothing more high margin than software, right? So all the money goes into the design, and then you do have some upkeep as far as updates and everything. But for the most part, once you have the software done, you put it out there and like Intuit, which is on the bottom left here, there's your TurboTax, there's your QuickBooks, there's your Mint. They all talk to each other, which is pretty fantastic. I use that suite myself. Basically you hit the website and you go ding, 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 spend a few $100s in like 5 seconds and get yourself set up for the year as a small business owner. So pretty impressive across the board here. So again, we have Salesforce does not pay a dividend of note. That would be a big deal. So that's when a company is considered mature, if you will, is when they start paying out a little dividend. So they're probably due for that. So is Amazon. And Benioff's the kind of guy that would do it. So Bezos is the guy that would not do it. As far as Adobe, about Adobe Acrobat, that's probably the one most everybody's familiar with, but there are also several other suites here. And just kind of look at the, these charts have all taken off. COVID, like Zoom video did not even really affect COVID. There it was. So there's your, there's your COVID. It actually took off during COVID. And there was a ZOOM, that's a technology firm people were buying mistakenly because they thought it was Zoom video. So, and we're on Zoom this morning, so it's got staying power, right? Even though honestly, what's funny is what's better? Microsoft Meets is better, Cisco WebEx is better, but Zoom was kind of ready with the PR machine to go, and I bought my licenses, so I'm going to at least wait till they expire before I look at something else. About Microsoft and all the software that goes with it. So again, doing very well there. And Intuit, we already talked about. So huge hit if you got into it down here. Intuit, see what I did there? And then you are very happy because it's almost taken, it's about 60% up off the bottom. Again, if you want to get out of individual names and into an ETF, that's what I offer you here is XSW, is a software as a service index fund. So yeah, if you don't want to try to pick them all, it's just like, I want a little bit of this, and everybody else that's in the space, which is 500 plus names. I mean, it is ridiculously big. Steal of a century down here at 70. Didn't get any of this myself because I'm going with the individual names, but obviously that's doing nicely as well. All right, let's start talking to some short-term day trading stuff. I'm going to put a few things in the chat window here. And again, I'm not capitalizing these just to get them in there kind of quickly, but if you're setting up your trades, you can go long today if you want. These are all long names. Again, I have 3 shorts set up is what I'm going to do for shorts. Oh my, that is all kinds of autocorrect. So disregard that. So maybe I will. So maybe I will capitalize them so it doesn't autocorrect. So it's CRM, INTU, HPE. Lesson learned from me, Neo and Dick's Sporting Goods. There, that is what we want. And then short, we're looking at Teva, Pharmaceutical, American Airlines, Carnival Cruise Lines, Nordstrom whiffed on earnings this morning, and Best Buy is a continuation from the short yesterday. Hey, there you go. I see Burner hopping in there. All right, let's look. Yeah. Think we'll raise this price target. Yeah, the performance of the stock generally will override what these analysts are saying. but I'm glad you're doing your research, and we'll see. I have it written down as my number 2 short, and it's continuation. So again, the big move was yesterday, big move down, and then right back. It did bounce pretty hard. So, but we'll keep an eye on it this morning. Let's go over to our tabs to take a look at things. We will look at the long names first. There's CRM. You can see the huge move up from 216 to 250. That is, see if I can find it over here. 15% move. So again, we're looking at that 5 to 10% for that move up with 100,000 shares. Obviously, it'll have the volume. So that's gapped up a little more. Let me update my notes to 15%. So it's kind of out of our range, so I'm not that excited about it. But if you wanted to take something with momentum, you could. INTU, looking at that long. Again, 336 up to 357. 6%. So this is kind of the heart of the envelope. Low volume, but I think it's going to get the volume swinging in. So you kind of see where the stock has been. So that'd be 336 was yesterday's close right here. That's a heck of a move. I'm not sure it's got room to go higher, but we shall see. I'm not going to take it. I will tell you that. HPE is Hewlett Packard Enterprises. They crushed earnings. Let's wait for their numbers. 933 up to 995. Plenty of volume. See if they're on our big board. Where did that come from? We'll get rid of that. Maybe we won't get rid of that. Let's see, HPE, there it is. I saw it pop up here, 6.22%. So that's about right for the heart of the envelope, and plenty of volume. So this is one you could take a look at, and it's got a little more since it was just up at 1050. It's got that little more room to run to the upside. So if I were to take a long, that would be my number 1 long to take a look at. NEO has been on fire. So there again, you're looking at 25 days there. It closed at 1784, which is here, up at 1897. So that's 6.8% long. Again, burning rubber as Morgan Stanley turns bullish on them as well. Gapping up, see what else is on our gapping up. Urban, CRM, Plan, Dick's Sporting Goods we'll get to next. All right, that's pretty good. All right, so DKS, again, is an earnings play, so they're gapping up 14%, so kind of out of our range there, but let's see. 46 up to 53, so out of this congestion, they're gapping higher. That can be a good thing when you break clear of congestion like that. So let's see if we can pull out some headlines here. Open over a 3-year high, best day since early April. A lot of good news out of Dick's Sporting Goods. So again, those are the 5 longs that we're going to take a look at, unless you guys populate anything else in there to take a look at. For short, let's look at BBY first. It's not my favorite, but since we're talking about it, all right, hardly gapping down at all now. It's actually up on the day. So 112.64 up to 112.77. So right here, this was the move down that I was talking about. So that was yesterday. So, and I can't remember if that was it's one that we talked about it yesterday, but I don't think we took a trade in it because it moved too fast, if I remember right. So anyhow, that huge sell-off, not huge, 5+% sell-off yesterday, 118 down to 112. Kind of stuck here. Let's see if we can tease out these headlines. There's their dividend announcement. All right, these were, and if you remember, it was the 243% increase in sales, I believe, but still the stock sold off hard because of all their future projections. So I don't see the upgrade there, but obviously Burner saw it. So we'll see. It's kind of even right now, but I will certainly take that off of my trade list, but we'll check back on it and put something else up there. All right, let's talk about number 1 short this morning is Nordstrom, at least as far as what I've seen. I always deserve the right to change my mind. 1554 down to 1525, so not too much, plenty of volume. Let's see if we can pull out the JWN over here somewhere for that percentage. Nope, not popping up. So there's a gapping down number. We'll check it out. So 4.8% if we look down at the bottom as far as the gap. So again, missed earnings there for Nordstrom, and pretty ugly numbers. So again, heart of the envelope for what we're looking for selling off. Teva Pharmaceutical there's some, you'll see the article here. Issues response to news of indictments. This is a legal one. Yeah, this is the headline I saw. The first one, Teva charged with price fixing of generic drugs. So that's bad, right? So any legal issue is a short signal that we like to capitalize on, try to make some money. So 954 down to 933. So that should be, don't see the numbers down here, but we probably will. Don't see them. So what's that? I don't think that's quite 5%, but gapping down enough for me to like it. So I'm going to move that to number 2. And then let's check out American Airlines, 19,000 in layoffs this morning. So obviously that's kind of a recognition that things are not going to go well. So 1314 to 1306, so not much of a gap down. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll have to check back on that. Carnival Cruise Lines canceled a bunch of cruises early into 2021. So 1589 gapping down to 1566. So not much of a gap down there, just a couple percent. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. All right, so that's what I've got for the shorts. Let's go around the tabs and fix that tab later. Let's see what else we have. Again, looking for the volume and 10 to 15%. Not enough volume. Adobe up, but not enough volume there. There's a volume on Tesla, 2050, but not enough of a gap to play. Let's look at our decliners. If you're not familiar with Learn, it's a K through 12 online thing. This stock was on fire. It is definitely poised to come in, so I like the gap down. It doesn't have quite enough volume, but I'm going to put it on my short list since it has been falling like a rock. Let me find the screen I want. There you go. So 46.50. So it's been getting hit pretty hard. I will put that on there as a delayed entry, and I'm going to give that my number 3 window pane. Once we switch over here in a second, Novavax has been one that has sold off. We watched that yesterday sell off. So again, Invax, that would be a continuation. I'll probably put that up first and then switch to LRN. All right, we've got 2 minutes to the open, so I'm going to switch out of, there's NEO again. I'm going to switch out of this and go over to the TD Ameritrade screen, and we'll set us up for our entries. Again, overall market, let me go to another page and check out the futures. So futures are all in the green now. So all of that looks good. We've got our window set up here. Let's go. We have S&P on the left, as we always do. We have Nordstrom as my number 1, and then number 2. I'm going to go Teva here. These are all 5-minute charts, so we look at the stops, and I'll switch to 1 minute, and then let's go Invax. Again, continuation short. Ooh, really like the way that's setting up. So, all right, we have almost a minute here, so let's look at stops. So $15 on Nordstrom. It's bounced kind of high, so you're probably going to need a 30-cent stop. So we'll look at JWN, 30 cents. I'm okay with letting that go for a little while to make sure it goes down and then getting into it. And then Teva, we'll go for a 10-cent stop. And then Invax would be a 50-cent stop, maybe $1. So let's get focused in here on the 1 minute. This 1 minute chart across the board. All All right, 30 seconds to the open. Welcome to the plays of the day. If you look at the screen, this is Think Pipes. On the left, we have the SPY, which we'll be able to monitor the overall market. Again, that's on a 1-minute chart for all of these. As far as the remaining 3 panes, we'll talk left, middle, and right for those 3. We have Nordstrom that missed earnings on the left. That's my favorite. So we'll keep an eye on that for something with about a 30-cent stop. The middle is Teva Pharmaceuticals, again, some legal issues. About a 10-cent stop is what I'm looking for that second. And then Invax would be my third choice. That's a continuation. It's just been selling off hard. So there's the bell, and we are on into the open. Talked earlier about getting that entry into Nordstrom here. I want to kind of make sure it chills out, and then we'll enter it down here below 15. Whoa, big move up in Teva. Okay, that's probably going to, yeah, that's only 10 cents. It just looks worse than that. All right, big move up there. Okay, not uncommon. What's going on with the market here? All right, so all of these are not, they're kind of in a short covering mode. You can kind of see up here, Nordstrom was down 5%. Now it's only down 1% there. It's just about to get even. So we're not touching Nordstrom. There's Teva I still like as far as selling off. So we'll keep an eye on that. And then don't really like this move in Invax at all. So let's look at LRN. So a lot of these we're bailing on pretty quick. Again, LRN, we need volume. So we're watching Teva right now. So you can get your stuff set up for Teva. As far as I need this to come all the way down, I think I'm going to need it to get all the way down to 926 before we can take it. And then it would be a 30 or a 10-cent stop. We covered at 40, could take it at 930. We can take it at 930. And then that would be a 940 stop. So looking at put in for 930 here in Teva, and we will wait and see if it hits. Overall, if you look at the big strike down in minute 2 in the market, so that should help our shorts here. We're not touching Nordstrom. We just have it up there because I'm staring at Teva right now. And I don't want to miss the entry. Going to put Carnival in here, CCL. Again, looking at 930 at our entry for Teva if we get it. Again, legal trouble is the issue here. So, all right, market Dow's in the red, S&P and SPY still in the green. Don't mind this entry at all. So again, just waiting for kind of the short covering to take place and then waiting for it to make its move down. And it's not doing it. So again, you don't force a trade. If it doesn't set up, it doesn't set up. Kind of looking at Learn over here. Again, down 6.68. Do we have the volume yet? We're kind of, so we look at these, this is your 30,000. So that's 30,000 shares in minute 1, 11,000 shares in minute 2. And then our 3,000 shares, so that's dying down. Okay, let's look at Learn on a 50-cent stop. We'll take it at 40. Tempted to take it here instead of timing the entry. Market's going to bounce a little bit here. Let's take it at 40.60. So take Teva short, excuse me, LRN short here. We took it at 40.60. We're going to use a 60-cent stop up to 41.20. Again, this is short. We do have the volume now creeping in. I'm going to draw the arrow for you so you don't get confused. We're still keeping an eye on Teva. I still like that setup. And then whatever's on the left, Carnival, selling off hard. But I'm not ready to take that trade yet. All right, there's the arrow down. So again, 60 cents is our stop. 60 cents, excuse me, is our stop on LRN. I do like the way this is set up. Again, this is a low volume guy, so it's going to be a slow mover. All right, Teva, we're 3 minutes into the day, so this isn't bad, but it's gonna, if it goes higher than 939, then we're gonna have to leave this one behind. Let's see, Carnival's kind of, these are dojis hanging down. That means there's a lot of buying, so don't see it selling off. We'll kind of check over to American. Airline was our other short here. All right, I'm gonna have to give up on Teva. It's just going too high. We'll keep it up there. We shall see. So, all right. American looks pretty good here for selling off. So, open at 13.11. That's really only a 20-cent move, though. Back this chart out a little, get some history here on. So it does have room to run to the downside. 14, it's dropped basically $1, so it's kind of like people giving up on it. I do kind of like this. Let's get in there a little closer. All right, to take this, you'd have to wait till 1275. Which I don't even know if it'll get to 1275. I'm not going to take this, but this is when you would take it. So you wait till 1275 to clear all this congestion. I'll draw it up for you again. I wouldn't take it. We're only in the one trade, which is over here for LRN. And again, we've given up on Teva. That's showing too much strength. So it's down 2%. So that means it would have to, if it hit 1275 and we used a 25-cent stop, it would have to go all the way down to $12. That'd be a healthy move in American, which is why I don't feel like taking it. So, but we'll keep American up there. Teva we can bail on. So again, we're watching American. I'm not going to take the entry. We are in the trade over here to LRN. Slow mover, low volume. So again, it's just going to sit there and sell off over the day is what I expect. We'll start looking at some of our long names in the middle here. CRM obviously was the one that was gapping up. So it was gapping up to 15%. Now it's at 17. So tough to take long. I just don't think it's got that strong ability to move higher. Intuit was a little better. I had that, again, it was gapping up to 6%. So a lot of congestion right here where it opened. Didn't realize the stock point was that high. Again, if you're trading around a $350 name, so you got to think, what, $5 for a stop, $6, $7 for a stop. So got to give them lots of room, if you will. So tough to trade around that. That's why you don't see a lot of people doing that. All right, this is Hewlett Packard Enterprises. Again, they gapped up 6%. So moved up and then right back down. This is obviously an easier point to trade as far as price point. Again, Dow's down. NASDAQ's up over 0.5% now, so tech's getting some strength. All right, let's look at NEO. Up 8%, and I'm going to back this chart out again, 19. So yeah, we're starting to see our LRN roll over. So again, I'm not worried about that trade. Just let it cook because it's going to take some time. Up 8%. I want to back this chart out for you. So look at this. We'll go 20 days. And goodness, look at this. It was expensive what I thought was here. It goes all the way up, and then I bought, let's see, that was Tuesday. This is Monday. So I finally had conviction enough to buy in here, which I didn't even like it when I bought, but obviously it's doing well. They're going to look into their claims as far as battery as a service and see if they can actually do everything that they say they're going to do. So again, right now, stock's on fire. We shall see. All right, let's bring it back to today. All right, looks like we're at an R, so 40 is in 1R. Make sure I got my things right there. So that's kind of our 1R point at 40 and then 39.40. Stop it. There we go. 39.40 is our second R. You could probably just look at these lines, if you will. That's our second R. Again, we're holding out all the way down to, quick math, 38.80, if you will. So definitely pleased with that trade. So back to NEO. So they're up 8%. Who else do we have looking? Dick's Sporting Goods. Again, we talked about that this morning. So they're up 13%. Went all the way up. Well, I didn't mean to draw that, but went all the way up to 54 pre-market. So trying to zoom in here and not cooperating. So I'm not going to do it evidently. Let's see. So they dropped from 53 down to 51, and then they're climbing back higher. So we'll see. All right, 9 minutes into the trading day. Obviously, we are at the 1R point. We touched 2R there briefly. So again, watch this throughout the day. I think 41.20 is safe as your upper stop. If you're like I'm the type of person that doesn't like to lose money, you could go right back down to your entry point and just call it good. So put your upper limit stop there. And then again, you could sell off 100 shares here to book 100 shares, 1/3 of your trade again to capture the 1R and then let the rest ride. But everything is pretty about this setup. I would not be too worried at all. And let's back out, look kind of at the chart. So it's breaking down, continuing that downtrend, even though it got some love there. And let's go back out to the 20-day. So again, things in a downtrend, breaking new lows, people are having to get blown out of that name. So again, that's all I'm gonna say about that trade for today. Looking good. All right, let's go over to our long-term stuff and transition. It's 10 minutes after the open, so it's time to make our transition over here to what's moving up. CC CRM, BOSQF's a psychedelic name. This is Kohl's. Good to see some Kohl's getting some love because they had not right after I started talking about them. Clickstream up 8%. They're in play this week. MongoDB is, again, that's software, so it's following kind of CRM higher. Facebook higher, Tesla higher, which it does every day. Netflix, Apple, so again, a lot of pretty big tech presence. Sony, I love that name going into the PlayStation 5 release. Lowe's, Trade Desk. All right, I'm trying to, where's LCA? That's the Special Purpose Acquisition Company. I'm trying to find Kohl's. I don't see it since must be looking right by it. There it is. So almost 1%. Oops, missed it. There it is, almost 1%. So a lot of names in the green. I like that. Let's see what's in the red today. Not too much heavy into the red. So all these are pretty light. Really not even much to talk about here as far as things are in the red. So I'm not going to spend any time talking about the things in the red. Okay, so that's our green. We can go back to our trade chart and check that out real quick and leave that open. Let's check out the chat. BBY, did we look at that? Pardon me, I said I would look at it and I never did. So let's take a look and see. Again, I had it going short. We did see that it got an upgrade, so kind of acting like a short as far as see it opened here, 113.40, 60-cent move higher, about 80% at the top of the doji. So realistically, you wouldn't be able to take the trade until about here, 13.30, and then a $1 move. So yeah, I think, but you're right, it's right around even, so it's not really in the day trading window, if you will. So I wouldn't have taken it just because it's too close to even there. So, all right, what else in the chat? Nothing else to talk about there. No questions this morning. You guys are awfully quiet, but that's okay. And let's see, let me transition in my mind to the Coverdell Educational Savings account. All right, I'm going to bring our screen down to the wiki page of that. So I'll have that open for you. Again, if you don't want to hear this, you can check out and I will see you tomorrow. If you want to hear a little bit about Coverdell and some options, then stay tuned. Today's question of the day is, what is the Coverdell Education Savings Account? Well, when you think college savings, you have several choices, but the big ones nationwide are the 529 plans, which are run by the state, which I'm going to talk about tomorrow. So those are by far more popular, but they're more complicated and it's a longer presentation. So I kind of wanted to get the Coverdell out of the way first. And there are a few folks that have Coverdell accounts that I manage. So that's why, so I know the specifics of these. With my children, I actually went with the 529 and I will show you why I did that. Even though there's definitely some benefits for using the Coverdell for those that choose to do so. So first of all, what is it? It's a tax-deferred trust account created by the government to assist families in funding educational expenses for beneficiaries who must be 18 years old or younger when the account is established. So again, you establish it for your children. It's a custodial type of account. So it stays in the adult's name as far as the asset. But the beneficiary, again, is the child, and it's set up for use as far as going to college is really what it was called. When it first came out, it was called the Education IRA, and then it switched its name. The biggest issue with the Coverdell, well, there's benefits, and let's talk about that first. The benefits is that if you put money into a Coverdell, and then you subsequently use that money for education, then it grows tax-free. So this is, again, eligible schools. You have to get into the specifics. You know, obviously the first 4 years of college is kind of the target for that. But if you're going to a private school or something like that, you could, you know, look and see if you can apply it. So that's the upside. And then the other upside of a Coverdell is you can use a normal brokerage account. So therefore, if you are okay with an aggressive portfolio and you are trying to make the most amount of money in the least amount of time, then the Coverdell is your friend, because you can go right into individual stocks. So if you started a Coverdell, so my oldest is 16 now. So if I started 16 years ago and I just put her in Apple stock, or Apple and Microsoft and Facebook and all those names that you tend to hear over and over and over, then sure, you're going to get a multiple of your money, just like you've done in your retirement accounts. Those have exploded higher. So if you like individual stocks, and you can use options in there too. So really you kind of have the full gamut of the full menu, if you will, of investment options if you use a Coverdell. So the downside, though, so that's the upside, is, again, you get the tax savings, but so does the 529. You get to do individual stocks if that's your thing, and options, which you cannot do in a 529. But the issue is you can only put in $2,000 a year into a Coverdell. So that has not been updated, and it needs to kind of be updated, right? Because when you think of the math, say you start when somebody's born and they have 18 years, maybe, till they go to college. Usually it's like 17 and change. But so that's a whopping 36,000 in capital, which is kind of 1 year of school, depending on where you're going. Now, obviously, you're going to community college, or, you know, a lot cheaper options, or in-state, obviously you have cheaper options out there, or if it's offsetting some scholarships. But if you're looking at paying outright, you know, that could pay, you know, and I know that's just the money you put in, and you plan on, you know, when you have an 18-year time frame, you should be able to, if you are skilled at investing, you know, double your money once in the first 9 years and double it again. But again, you only can put 2,000 in a year, so it's only that first 2,000 that can double twice. So you're kind of limited. So even if you got aggressive, even if you're super good at what you do as far as investing, or you have somebody doing it for you, it's hard to get to that 100,000. And you may think, well, maybe I don't want 100,000. If you don't, well, then good for you. But if you're like me, 100,000 was kind of the target number. I have 2 kids, but you know, I want 100,000 in this account, and then maybe I use it, maybe I don't. So that was the issue of why I did not choose the Coverdell back in 2004 when my oldest was born. So in the 529s, what was the exact math I was looking at the time? Well, I wanted to put $250 a month away. So obviously when you think $250 a month, and I've been waiting to do that, you know, very excited to have your first kid, right? And, you know, we hope to have more. At the time we ended up with 2, we kind of wanted 3, that sort of thing. So it's like, I want to start right now with the oldest, and I want to do $250 a month. And so that's $3,000 a year. So that was the immediate problem, was I wanted to just have one account. I was busy at the time on active duty. So I didn't really want to deal with, okay, well, I'll max out the Coverdell and start a 529. It was just too much math. So I was like, okay, I'll put $250 a month. So that's why I chose the 529. Now, as far as timing, my timing, and this is where people always want, you know, you always say you want the market to go up. Well, what happened with me was I started obviously 2004, then you have 2007 through 2009 had that huge dip in the market from peak to trough. The S&P went down 53%. That was a complete gift. That was a gift for college savings for my children, because I'm sitting there plugging money in that whole time. And as the market goes down, I'm buying, you know, it's 529. So I'm buying, you know, mutual funds and index funds instead of individual stocks. But the fact that I invested through that monthly for that little, you know, almost an 18-month period where the market was down, means I actually stopped investing when my oldest daughter turned 10. I stopped putting into my college savings account for both daughters, and it's over 100,000 now. So, you know, it's one of those, much like if you equate that to, and I'll tell you why I'm bringing this up here in a second, but if you equate that back to March of this year when COVID sold off, obviously that was an intense moment. Obviously people were concerned. They were watching big numbers get smaller. If you have $1 million portfolio, you're watching, that move down a couple $100,000. So that can get you excited when people are, dropping in net worth more than they're making in a year. Can get people excited, but literally, as you've seen, it's the best thing that can happen to you, right? The market sells off, you buy a bunch of stocks cheap, and the market comes back higher, and you're like, holy crap, look out, the numbers exploded on me. Well, that's how you do that. And so the reason I bring that up is for your strategy for your Coverdell, whether it's a Coverdell educational savings account, or whether you do 529s or Texas Tomorrow Fund, or any of the stuff that's available to you out there. What you want to do is just start. Don't try to time the market. You're not putting a huge amount in, whether, if you're going monthly or if you're in the ability, if I would to do it over, and I would rate on January 2nd or 3rd, whenever the first trading day of the year is, that's when I would put $2,000 into each kid's Coverdell. So again, you don't have to dollar cost average over the month. You're actually dollar cost averaging over years. And you really, at that point, you don't care if the market goes up or down. A lot of folks will sit on the sidelines and wait and try to time the entry. So if you had a child born today, start today. I think the market's going to sell off into the election, and then after the election, I could be wrong. I don't have a crystal ball, neither do you. So the biggest thing with college, just like retirement, is just start today, and then whatever happens, you'll dollar cost average your way through it, either on an annual basis or on a monthly basis. Okay, so that's what I have for the Coverdell. Again, the biggest thing is you're limited to $2,000 a year. That's the biggest limitation, but the advantage of it is you can do individual stocks over the, where a 529 can't. So that's all we have for today's show. Please reach out to me at steve@ototnow.com with any questions or comments. Thanks again for joining me, and here's to you fighting the good fight every day to be on time, on target with your financial goals. Bye.